How does spiritual experience work? Part 3. We will continue to use this diagram from our website for our explanations. It uses blue boxes to mean an activity, like jump, swim, reason and learn, and yellow boxes to mean data or information. The lines then show the dependency one activity has on another for its input. The 3 parts to the mind or soul. In part 1, we explain that the mind can be divided into 3. The subconscious mind, the conscious mind, which together are called the mortal soul, and the higher spirit or immortal soul. It survives death, as its name implies. Remember that we have 3 videos that will give you a lot more background as to what these terms mean and what each part of your mind does, if you are interested. The higher spirit.
How to get to heaven. The higher spirit. The conscious, subconscious and higher spirit is us. This is our access to the spiritual world. And if you die, you become your higher spirit, which is immortal, eternal and indestructible.
The conscious mind.
How to get to heaven. The conscious. As we saw in the introduction video, to reach the light, conscious is very much in the way. But why? Your conscious mind has a personality, desires and objectives, a memory, a will and reason.
The subconscious mind.
How to get to heaven. The subconscious. Your body senses the world around you. It receives sensations through seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and feeling. It tells you if there are threats or the opportunity to achieve your desires.
So now let us examine the higher spirit, also called the immortal soul. It is our own higher spirit we meet on death, if we go up the tunnel. And eventually, mortal soul and immortal soul become one, a single entity. The higher spirit and the composer. The higher spirit is the entity responsible for obtaining and composing spirit input, inspiration, dreams, intuition, wisdom, visions, premonitions, pricks of conscience, even hallucinations. Although we, our personality and the will combined, act on this input in a conscious way, hence the name, the conscious self, and may even ignore it if we are silly enough. That input is always being provided for us. The higher spirit uses our perceptions, which figuratively rise up to be used, and we explored this in our video on the symbolism of thoughts, flags, smoke and prayers. But you will notice from the diagram that the higher spirit also has access to a whole raft of extra information and help that is beyond the mind. And we will explore this later and in detail in our final video. Using perceptions, and other input to compose spirit input. A new diagram now to help explain what is happening. In the diagram, the dotted lines indicate partial input and the solid lines represent full input. In the middle, we see the perception system, sending the composer all the perceptions like a big roll of unprocessed cine film. The composer, like a video maker, is going to put together to provide us with help. Unlike video, the sensory systems might have produced a whole host of sensations derived from seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting and touching. Let us imagine that the opportunity arises to construct some help that might actually get noticed when the person closes his eyes temporarily and thus stops images being received. All the other senses are still sending stuff, but the composer has the opportunity here to provide a vision. So it looks through past perceptions and all the images it has access to beyond the mind. And despite the fact the person is still smelling his dinner cooking, creates a rather imaginative vision in answer to his prayers. And hallucination. Back to the diagram. Let us now imagine that the man is actually dozing with his eyes open, so all senses are delivering input, but rather weakly. He is actually listening to the droning of a priest, seated in the pews of some Roman Catholic cathedral with its altar and font. And his composer takes up his prayers, and there before him appears a naked nymph, an hallucination. He has never seen a nymph like this before. His wife is 5 foot tall and extremely dumpy, and he opens his eyes wide in amazement, and the nymph disappears. So this time the composer has had to go beyond the mind to find a suitable image, and rummaging around it finds just the thing in another person's perceptions. A man watching his wife take a shower, and with a bit of nifty editing superimposes the nymph onto the image already there, like a double exposure shot. And this is why Beethoven, for example, who was completely deaf at the time he wrote his best music, was able to hear celestial music. He received it at all sorts of strange times, and even wrote it down on his hat so that he didn't forget it. It came from beyond the mind. Perfumes. Occasionally in spiritual experience, people can smell glorious perfume smells. The smell is unlike any smell that exists in reality, often a sort of mix of flowers and trees. And they can do this even when their own nose is fully functioning at the time. Which means the composer is also able to suppress certain sensory data, even though it may be on the cine film, like roll of perceptions. These blissful, comforting smells appear to be given to people who are not blessed with the gift of vision, or whose gifts lie elsewhere: intuition, healing, wisdom, inspiration, etc., but who need a bit of encouragement. Those with difficult, challenging, lonely roles, whose experiences are confined to invisible input, can at times get deeply dispirited. Doubt creeps in. Is everything I am getting just some flight of fancy or mental hiccup? But somehow, smelling that smell says, You are not alone. I am still here. An example. Some vivid and memorable experiences are possible in dreams, and dreams often demonstrate the extraordinary ability of the composer. The following is a genuine example, as is the date. January 2015, Thursday. I was on the top of a hill, not very high, but one of a line of hills that border a very wide river. The scene looked like it could have been here on Earth, but it was particularly beautiful. The colours were intense, but softer pastel, filled with light. The sky was clear, and it seemed to be early evening, as the sky did not have the bright luminosity of a midday scene. I seemed to be with other people, though who they were I do not know, and there were a lot of them. We were all looking to the left, upriver, resting, enjoying the beauty. At least that is how it felt to me. Great beauty and great peace. Then there appeared a very thick, purple, black cloud. It had the shape of a triangle, with a point towards us, and it was stunning. Swirling colours of pale blue, violet and purple and black, very dense and moving towards us. As it came closer, I could hear birdsong and singing, and earthly, glorious music, and I realised that the cloud was surrounded by millions of birds, also triangular in shape, all the same colour as the clouds, swirling and singing. They looked like angels of death, but their beauty was indescribable. The centre of the cloud was thick and smoke-like, but the birds seemed to be coming and going from its centre, as if this was their source of power and home. It was both stunning and terrifying, and all the people stood for a while, rooted to the spot, gazing at this awesome bringer of death. And then they ran. To the right was a building, a rather drab building, with numerous empty rooms and corridors, a sort of labyrinth or maze of corridors and empty, glassless windows. Derelict. Nothing in it. But everyone fled to this building. And here comes the part that was the most terrifying. The whole sky went dark, and only the corridors and rooms were lit in a sort of sandy yellow colour. Each time I moved to hide from this thing, I saw another person obliterated. There was no blood or gore. A bird came, and they collapsed and vanished, over and over again. Everywhere I ran in this maze, I saw another person removed. Sometimes it was not the bird that effected the obliteration. It was a long slither of the cloud itself, a thick purple-black rope that touched and exterminated the person. One touch, and they were removed. Thousands must have died in this dream. It went on and on. But it never got to me, and I woke up. At the time of the dream, what interests me most is that I was not frightened. No emotion was attached to this at all. I simply ran from room to room, watching death in action, on a massive scale. I did not wake with a beating heart, nor was I trembling, but the power of the scene was overwhelming. It was apocalyptic. All I wanted to know was, what does it mean? I think we're beginning to find out.